Hello and welcome to this quick Salesforce app demo on a specialized use case. Today we're going to cover a use case where a customer will want to generate an automated email with an embedded form link that will take them out to an NPS-based survey, so Net Promoter Score. They want to really get some feedback from their customer based on how a sales process went. Now, this should be triggered from the opportunity within Salesforce moving from a negotiation status to a closed won/closed loss status. So the first thing we need to look at is what does that look like when this happens? So I have an opportunity pulled up here on an account, BallerTech. When I go to closed and I choose closed won, what should happen when I click save here is it should automatically generate an email that I've created through a template, and then it will have the form link embedded on there. And I also have it so that it's pre-filled. So there will be the customer's name in the email, as well as on the form it'll have all their information, which I find a little bit more personal and really gives that wow factor for your customer. So when we go into our inbox here, okay, our email has shown up. There we go. Okay. Customer's name, thank you for working with us at FormStack. We'd love to hear your experience. And then here's our form link. Now it has all of my information already here, so it's just like my normal email that I would send out with my signature, but I have it as a template. And then when I click the form link, it should take me out to the form that I've built. Yep, has the close date, has the opportunity name, it has the customer's name, email address, and then I have just 3 quick NPS type questions. I want to know how their sales experience was. I want to know if they would recommend us, and then I want to give them the opportunity to write in or maybe add files to really give us some detailed information about how their whole experience was. And then they can submit it. Once they submit, it's going to go back to that opportunity owner, and we can use that information to better our process. So the big question is, how do we make that work? Well, very simple. There's just a few steps we need to do, and this is how we get started. So you want to be able to go into your object manager within Salesforce, and I really find that it's important that we deal with 2 main objects. One is going to be the opportunity object, obviously, because that is the primary thing that is going to trigger off all these actions. And within that opportunity, there's a couple things we want to make sure. I like to make sure that I have a contact field added within the opportunity object just because it allows for a little bit more personalization and it helps with that pre-filling of both the form as well as the email. And then I also like to make sure that I have a field, and you can call it whatever you want, but I call it FormStack Form. This is a URL based field, and this is what's going to allow us to pre-fill that link or add that link within the opportunity. So when we go back into our opportunity here, we look under details. Once we create that, we're going to have this FormStack Form field, and we'll be able to generate a link, our form link, directly into this opportunity, which then when we have the email go through, it's going to pull directly from this. So now once we have that set up, the other piece of the other object that we really want to make sure that we work with here is, I'm going to go in, and we want to be able to have our feedback. So feedback, because this is another object where I want to be able to pull some different fields into my form. So the best thing is I create this feedback object, and within it I went ahead and created 3 NPS, NPS1, NPS2, NPS3 fields. Now these are just generic names. I'm going to show you in just a minute how when we go into the form we can go ahead and customize these names. These are just for my internal reference so that when I go back in I know exactly what I'm looking for. NPS1 is a pick list, NPS2 is a pick list, and NPS3 I want that rich text area so the customer can really give me some detailed information on there. So I'm going to have these particular fields for feedback. Now once I have that done, the one thing you want to do is you want to go in and start building your form. So go ahead and click on your app launcher and look for FormStack. And if you don't have it directly in your all apps, no big deal. Go ahead and visit the App Exchange, type in FormStack, and go ahead and download. Once you have it downloaded, you're going to have the ability, as soon as you click on it, it's going to take you to this dashboard. Now we'll have the ability to create a new form, but for this demo's sake, I went ahead and already built out our form, and I called it feedback. So if we look here, as I was stating earlier, our primary object is going to be based around the opportunity, because the opportunity, how that changes its status, is going to trigger this entire process. So under that, I have my feedback object, which we just created, which ties back to the opportunity. And then, as I said, for our pre-fill context, I think it's important that we have our contact also. So once we go in and we edit our form, we're going to find that it's really easy. There's going to be some things that will pre-populate in because it is based on our opportunity. You're going to have things like your close date, your stage, the name of the opportunity automatically come over. But there's some things I need to add in my form, right? So we created a feedback object, and within that feedback object, I'm going to have that NPS1, NPS2, NPS3. Now, I've already dragged them over to the side here. And then so this is NPS1, NPS2, NPS3. And then if I do a drop down and kind of get some details about this field within my form, I've changed it from NPS1 to how was your sales experience with FormStack? And then I can adjust the aesthetics of this. Maybe I don't want just a pick list. Maybe I want a radio button list horizontal, or I want it vertical, or I just want it as a pick list. It's completely up to you. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as horizontal. And then when we close the field, it automatically saves the setting there. So the other thing that we want in here is I wanted to personalize this a little bit more. So that's why I added that contact relation here. So then when I go into contact, I was able to take from these fields and drag across the first name and last name. And this is big because it adds a little bit, again, a little bit more of that personalization and shows that we really care about what our customer is telling us. So now that we have our form, you can go in and you can edit the style, choose any themes that you want, do some CSS editing. You could do all those particular changes that you would like. And when we're done with the form, we want to go ahead and publish our draft. And once we publish our draft here, we're going to have a couple options. Number one that clicks up is going to be the pre-fill, dynamic pre-fill enabled. We want that. Right? And so when we go in, we'll have our select our objects to pre-fill. Well, the object that we're primarily working with is opportunity. Excellent. And we're going to use that contact one in relation. So that way it pre-fills that information. Now, earlier when I talked about the reason why we created that form field within opportunity was so that we could do this right here, our auto-generate pre-fill links. So what I'm going to do is I have my FormStack form, which is that field that I created within the opportunity object in Salesforce. And then what is the existing record that I want to update? Well, for this demo, I'm going to go ahead and use our BallerTech opportunities that we have. I'll click on there and I will say update existing records. As soon as you click this button, it is going to automatically, within Salesforce, update that field within your opportunity with that form link. It's just that easy. So now, once we have that all set up within our form, you want to go through, and there's a couple things of how we want to trigger this delivery. So it's great that we have our form, but how are we going to get it out to the customer? Well, the first thing we want to do is we want to set up an email template. So you want to go under your setup, you want to go into classic email templates and create a new one. You can make this look, you could do a text, just a standard text one, or you can do an HTML version. I chose to do an HTML version because it allows you to hide the entire 47 character length form link that comes onto the form or onto the email. HTML just cleans it up. It allows it to give it a more professional look. You can embed your logo on it. It just gives a better aesthetic for the customer and shows a little bit better professionalism, but it's completely up to you. So once you have your email template, what you want to do is you now need to create an email alert. So again, under your setup, you want to go to email alerts. You want to create a new one, and you want to relay it back to the email template you just made. So based on our email template, name this alert whatever you want to. We just call it feedback form in this case. My email template, which is feedback2, and I want it to be able to pull the selected recipient needs to be the email field, email address. Once you have that created, just click save. And then the next thing that we really need to do is, so it's great. So we have our email already set up. Now we have an email alert set up, but now the whole process, we have to have this trigger from when the opportunity moves from negotiation to closed won or closed loss. So how we do that is, again, within setup, we just go over to our process builder. Salesforce makes this really easy to go in. What you basically do is in this kind of flow chart, you roll through and you say, all right, so I'm going to create an opportunity. It's going to be based on opportunity. I'm going to call it closed won. If it is closed won, what's going to happen is that it's going to trigger this immediate reaction. It's going to give me a feedback, and it's going to be based on my email alert that I just created called feedback form. Okay, and then it's going to stop. Now, if it wasn't closed won, so that's false, it's going to go as a closed lost. Okay, not a problem. What's the immediate action that goes in? Well, for this sake of the demo, I kept them the same, but you can go ahead and change this. You could have a completely different email template if you wanted, or email alert. Completely up to you. If you want maybe some different questions within that form, no big deal. But for this one, I just went ahead and had the same feedback form, and then it will stop afterwards. And then you click activate. Once you're done, everything now is set up. You've gone through, you've created your form, you've tailored it, and you've set it up the way that you want it to look. You have all your pre-fill turned on. You have the form link generated in your opportunity within Salesforce. You now have created an email template that looks really good. You have the email alerts set up, and then you've built your process. So now when you go in, and we go back, and we do closed won or closed lost, either way, it will go back out. It's going to trigger that email. And there we go. Jim Johnson, thank you for working. We have, just like we did at the beginning of the demo, you click that form. We still have all of our pre-filled link for the form, and now we can get the honest feedback that we wanted.